Hello everyone! So today I'm going to be talking about this Peugeot 2008 and I'm going to tell you all in a moment why I find it one of the most interesting crossover SUV in today's market. I'm going to start by telling you all a small story about the PSA group entering the crossover SUV segment. By now, you all are aware that the PSA group are rather young when it comes to the crossover SUV segment. They are new to it. However, here's how it all started. In the early 2010s, the PSA group released the first ever Peugeot 2008, the 2008. The first generation 2008 had many different perceptions. It had many different opinions. But my opinion is my opinion. But okay, my opinion aside, for now let's just talk about what the first generation 2008 really was. The Peugeot 208 is a B segment car done by Peugeot, a hatchback. Now, give that Peugeot 208 all the crossover SUV aspects and you will be given what looks like a Peugeot 2008. That was the first generation 2008. In my opinion, okay, I'm going to be brutally honest. I did not like the first generation 2008. It looked too round-edged. It was just too... you see, that time the perception, I feel like that time the perception the French brands had of crossover SUVs was basically have a hatchback chassis and then give all the bigger wheels, bigger body, and there you go. You have your crossover SUV. I think that was like how they did it that time because that's what basically the 2008 was. However, as the 2010s progressed, everything about the PSA group changed. After the mid-2010s, by let's say 2017 or even before that or after that, Peugeot released the 5008. That 5008 was what changed everything about how people see the PSA group. It was a blast, it was a success, it was passion to the fullest, guys. I saw the 5008 and I was like, yes, Peugeot has finally done it. Aside the 5008, you also have the 3008 if you desire just a little less space. However, if you feel like too much space takes up too much parking space, oh, I know what you should get. You should get a 2008. Now, 2008 should be very city friendly and should be just a little bit capable of off-roading. Well, I wouldn't go off-roading in them, but hey, why not? Okay, speaking of off-roading, I'm just gonna go on a brief tangent. The brief tangent I want to mention to you all is that for some reason at the moment, none of the French crossovers, including Citroën and Peugeot, like all the way up to the top, like the 2008 all the way to 5008, none of them come with a four-wheel drive transmission. I don't know why. I'm trying to understand why, but it can be questionable, but it's something I can understand when it comes to cost saving, and also, after all, they're good value for money enough, and they are front-wheel drive, so or do you have enough traction? Back to topic. Now, Peugeot has just released the all-new 2008. This Peugeot 2008 costs 14,000 euros. Now, guys, listen very carefully. I forgot to mention this earlier. This is no ordinary Peugeot 2008. Another reason why the French have become so inspiring when it comes to crossover SUVs is because they've started offering electric versions. Yes, guys, believe it or not, I'm not joking. This is actually electric. This is a Peugeot 2008 electric, and I'm actually very impressed, and therefore it costs 14,000 euros. Now, is this good value for money or not? You know what? We're gonna find out in a moment. Let's get down with this review right now. First evidence that this Peugeot 2008 is electric is right here, guys. So, you need more convincing that this Peugeot 2008 is electric? Okay, here's your second source, your evidence. Look at this. They've even gone as far as coloring the badge in a bit of blue. In my opinion, that's actually pretty cute, guys. I mean, it's so cool. Actually, from a distance, it makes it look like it's from crystal or ice. So cool, man. I mean, I like how the blue is even covering the eyes of the lion. Okay, it's like Superman almost. So this is the front design of the Peugeot 2008, guys. And I have to say, it is absolutely stunning. It is beautiful, guys. Look at it, everyone. Just look at this grille. Now, I like how it's got this nice design right here. Actually, reminds me of video games a little bit. So I like how the line is straight here, but then as you go towards the badge area, the lines become more dispersed and, well, actually not dispersed, but they've become smaller. At that point, they're a bit dotty around the badge area. Very interesting. Very creative, actually. And Peugeot has even gone as far as to putting the 2008 logo right here at the front. I like how they've bonded both zeros. And this is not new, actually. Peugeot has been doing this over the past few years already. I'm not sure since when, but it's not the first time I'm seeing those two zeros being bonded. It's very creative, actually. It's so cool. Very original. Although this has to be the very first time I've ever seen any car brand put their model name right on the bonnet at the front. Of course, vive la France, vive la Peugeot. They've even gone as far as being very patriotic to write Peugeot right here. Peugeot LED Technologies. Wow, that is so cool, guys. Side design of the Peugeot 2008, guys. Very good. You get this nice hard plastic over here. Now, as I've emphasized before, it saves a lot of money in long terms because it prevents body paint wear. And then, for some reason, you have this sort of design happening on the side of this Peugeot 2008. Looks very nice. So it's basically over here like this. You get those two lines that split. This line goes underneath the mirrors, and then this second line goes downwards towards the wheel, but then it blends here eventually. They all bond over here to this one line, and it goes all the way to the rear, and there it also splits. It goes there and there. Very interesting and creative, actually. I mean, it's like it's actually quite nice how Peugeot went on about the design of the side. It's creative, very original. It's interesting, actually. I don't know if it's just me, but something tells me that this part of the design is inspired by the Musée de la Louvre. I like the rear view of this Peugeot 2008. Very interesting. I like how you get this design. This design is also present on the rear, guys. I thought it would only be on the side view, but they've also put it on the rear. Very good. Very good. I like it. And I like how here you have the body paint. And at the point where you have the lighting and everything, here it's all black, including where you have the letters of the Peugeot written. It's very good. Very creative how they went on about it. And it looks very premium. Over here you get the hard plastic, which is a common practice for crossover SUVs, if you want me to be honest. Yeah, it's quite nice. And then over here you get this silver bit of trim. We have to admire the lighting for a second, guys. Just look at how it is. Look at it. Looks very nice. I like the design in particular. I like how you get this separate bit of lighting in there. I think this is okay, so the red one is obviously your rear light, but the one which is a bit transparent looking over here, I think this is supposed to be your side indicator lights. Another aspect I've noticed that's become a common practice amongst small crossover SUVs is to give the impression that the roof is floating, and that is presented right here, guys. So over here you have the body paint, but for some reason, I've seen this on many crossover SUVs, not just Peugeot. They like to cover this, okay, A, B, C, D. Okay, so like this D pillar right here, no, or C pillar. I think, yeah, in the case this would be the C pillar. It's covered in black. And I mean, it's a very nice, I mean, aesthetically, it looks very appealing to look at. This is the wheel of the Peugeot 2008, guys. So I think this is supposed to be a 5-spoke wheel. Individual spokes are split in half, so it looks as though they have like 10 spokes or something. So there you go. And the color of the wheel, guys, it looks quite nice. So it's in black alloy wheels with some silver top over here. very nice and very appealing to look at. From a distance, it looks quite appealing as well. And I've noticed this design also on the Peugeot 5008 and 3008. It's becoming a very common trend in Peugeot. I've also noticed this on the 208. Like nearly every Peugeot car is starting to employ similar designs with the wheel. Whilst exploring the exterior of this Peugeot 2008, I also noticed some questionable aspects. The first questionable aspect I want to point out is, likewise, the grille. The bottom half of this grille is an air intake, but the top half of this grille is not an air intake, because if you look underneath, there is some plastic. The second questionable aspect I would like to point out is that for a price of 40,000 euros for this crossover SUV, I find the presence of hard plastic to be a little bit on the plentiful side, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, the hard plastic over here is too conspicuous, and over here as well. Like, I would have expected maybe a body color, and especially for the rear bumper, like the hard plastic is quite conspicuous over here, especially let alone for a price of 40,000 euros. Yeah, it's okay. It's of selective taste. Like, from a distance, it looks aesthetically appealing. Like, at least nobody can tell it's plastic. Everyone will just assume it's part of the body color, and it pairs well with the theme. Like, when it comes to the aesthetic point of view, it looks quite nice. It's like a black and orange theme everywhere, which is yeah, quite funky. Another reoccurring flaw I've noticed is that at the front of this Peugeot 2008, there's no presence of a camera whatsoever, implying directly that this Peugeot 2008 does not come with a 360-degree camera, despite its price of 40,000 euros. This is questionable in my opinion, but I also have to confess that for this segment, a 360-degree camera is not always the most important aspect. However, it can come in handy in certain situations. So whether it's questionable or not is very debatable. Speaking of parking, I just realized there isn't any parking sensor at the front of this Peugeot 2008. Okay, that's very interesting, guys. No 360-degree camera, no parking sensor for the front. Okay, now, okay, if there was no parking camera for the front, that's okay, something I can tolerate as long as there is a parking sensor. But now that there's no parking sensor at the front, this is something I find very questionable for the Peugeot 2008 at the price of 40,000 euros. I would have expected a parking sensor somewhere, but I'm looking everywhere, guys, and I can't spot it. It means it's not equipped. And that is something, well, it can be perceived as questionable, but as I've stated again, for its segment, it's not unusual practice. It's actually a common practice. Some manufacturers get rid of parking sensors and parking cameras to economize, to save costs. So I've also looked underneath the side view mirrors, guys. There's no camera. The only part of the Peugeot 2008 that gets a camera is the rear, guys, which is already good, but still, I think, oh well, at least you get parking sensors. There you go, guys, the beautiful interior of this Peugeot 2008. Oh yes, looks very appealing, guys. I like it, I really do. So let's start talking about the design overall. The design is quite nice, and I've noticed this similar design on many other Peugeot cars, like the Peugeot 2008, no wait, the 5008, excuse me, and also the 208. Mainly the center area, like over here. It really does take on from the Peugeot 208. It really does. I like how they've put the carbon fiber effect over here, guys. I mean, wow. It's not carbon fiber, but it has the effect. It has the look of it. And that's so creative, in my opinion. I mean, and look at this, guys. I mean, look at the design of this instrument cluster. This is the first time I've ever seen an instrument cluster this fancy. I mean, this, yeah, for a car of 40,000 euros, it's usually like they give basic instrument clusters that have one fixed conventional shape. But Peugeot really likes to experiment. They really like this sort of design right here. And I also like how this side trim over here kind of blends with the design eventually, guys. It's like you cannot tell them apart. It's as if they're bonded together. Look at it. Throughout the interior, I see a massive presence of piano black trim. Quite nice, actually. So over here you have controls. Now, usually I get down to explain the controls very quickly, but in the case of this Peugeot 2008, it took me 1 minute to figure out what control was meant for what, because there's quite a lot of details happening. Okay. Usually what most manufacturers do is they often have like a separate area for climate controls and a separate area for your media controls. But what Peugeot has kind of done, and I also mean infotainment system, by the way, so like navigation and everything, etc. But what Peugeot has done was kind of mingled everything together. So it has a good effect. I mean, in terms of aesthetics, it looks beautiful. I love the design. It's so creative. But in terms of practicality, it can be questionable. Like, look at this, guys. They've put the music system right there next to the climate control, and then navigation there next to the air conditioning control, and the lock button right next to the phone buttons. Yeah. And I'm assuming whatever control you don't see present there is onto the infotainment system. And by the way, this infotainment system is quite interesting because I'm sitting on the driver's seat and it's actually directed at me. It's like it's tilted towards me. Now, this is becoming a common practice these days. I know that BMW was, I think, the first manufacturer to start this trend where they put the infotainment system facing the driver. But then, since the mid-2010s, many brands started following this. I know Peugeot started implementing this in their car, and Volkswagen also started recently doing it a lot, and so did Audi. And yeah, I think it's actually quite a good practice. There are many brands that are employing a similar trend. Oh yes, you have to admire the quality over here, guys. Over here you are gifted with a bit of soft leather, quite comfortable, quite nice. Over here is the hard plastic. Okay, no problem. Over here is also the hard plastic, and here's your window controls and the mirror controls. The door handle is quite nice. I like it. Over here also is something very special. I'm going to show you all something. Most brands usually put the USB points and the 12-volt socket together in one spot. But what Peugeot has done was kind of separated everything, guys. Like, over here is your USB point. Over here is another charging point or USB point, etc. And over here is your 12-volt socket. So it's like, yeah, like two different places. And then right here is your deep storage. And now, speaking of storage, here's where I think the Peugeot 2008 does start to shine a little bit. So you can put your telephone right here. And, this storage space is rather sort of deep. It's like, hand length. Now, this is where something different happens. You would expect this to open like this, right? So, like that. But in this case, it opens like this. Check this out. So, oh, wait. It's... Okay, so, I think this is a better storage for your telephone, guys. And here you can put your pen, etc. It's very nice. It's so neat, but this is the very first time I've ever seen this, guys. It's so cool, and I like the solid close and opening. Over here you get the lighting system, guys, and you get your mirror to see how pretty you look. Over there is your start-stop button, guys, and you get a driving mode right here, cup holder right here, and by the way, the cup holders are of fixed sizes, so yeah. And this is your gear lever, guys. It looks very nice. I like the design of it, and the feel of the quality is very good. Oh my gosh. The metal. Guys, you should feel the metal. It's so good. I like how cold it feels. This is what I like, guys. The quality. Okay, the center console storage is right here, guys. It's quite nice. This is your armrest. It's quite cozy. And here's your central console storage. So you have a micro storage space here, which is very good for your coins. And then this is a deeper storage space, which is... I'd say it's on the average side. It's not the best, but for a crossover SUV of this segment, it is acceptable. It's on the slender side, so it's not so wide in storage, but it's not a big problem. It's quite good, in my opinion. Over here is your glove box, everyone, and check this out. It's so easy to open from the driver's seat. You just have to pull this latch. Wow. Okay, check this out, guys. This glove box is deep, like literally deep. Now that is nice, and there are many storage solutions in there. Here is your side door bin, everyone. I see that a big water bottle can fit in there, and so can a small one for sure. This door bin, however, is not so long. It's a bit on the short side, but it's not a big deal. It's quite good as it has to be for this segment. Over there is your hood latch, everyone. Quite nice, and well, it's positioned at such a place that you cannot open it easily with your feet. You kind of have to. It's more inwards, actually, if you think about it, because there's this plastic over here that prevents your feet from making contact with this lever. A prominent advantage to point out, guys, is that this door is very long and it covers this part of the interior. So therefore, on a muddy day, this does not get covered in mud. How amazing is that? Aww, check this out. Peugeot has been very generous to give us a nice handle over here for the driver's seat. Lately, Peugeot has developed an obsession for small steering wheels, and I'm trying my hardest to understand why. Because, you know, aesthetically it looks appealing. It looks quite nice. But in terms of practicality, it just has its... Yeah, like, you know, I feel like it's just not... I don't know why Peugeot has implemented this, because this steering wheel can also be found on nearly every Peugeot models, including their larger models, like the Peugeot 5008. Now, usually for a crossover SUV of this segment, I would expect a steering wheel a little bit bigger than this. I can see an advantage, and already the steering wheel is quite nice. I like the quality. I like how it's written Peugeot right here. I like how you have the media controls right here. And your cruise control is located on a separate stalk right here. Whilst exploring the interior, I noticed some questionable aspects. The first questionable aspect I would like to point out is, I don't know why is there a lack of symmetry here. Like, look at it. It just doesn't feel like it's, you know, like looking at this infotainment system, it looks like it's facing the passenger side, whereas this infotainment system faces the driver's side. The question is, why does this face the passenger side more? It's, yeah. It can be questionable, in my opinion. However, in terms of aesthetics, it looks very creative. It's a bit like, I don't know how we put it. It's like diagonal, you know? It's like a cross here. So this side and this side. Another questionable aspect I've noticed is, what exactly is the purpose of this bit of chrome? Because, you see, I'm touching it and nothing happens. So, you know, whenever I want to open this bit of storage, I have to touch it from here. So this leaves me to question, what exactly, why is this chrome present right here? Shouldn't it be present over there, you know? Or shouldn't there be a marking saying that you have to push it from here in order for this to open? So yeah, there was some confusion, because when I first sat in the interior of this Peugeot 2008, I was surprised by this drawer. In terms of aesthetics and innovation, this is one of the coolest things I've ever seen. It's so creative, and also when it opens like this, you can store a pen here and hope that it stays in place, because once it's in this position, the pen will fall out of this. But yeah. Otherwise, if this is open, I think this is supposed to be like an extension for whatever's stored in there. Oh, okay, that's creative. Okay, that's creative, but yeah. Okay, it took me a while to understand the philosophy of this design, but okay, selective taste, that's all I can say. Another questionable aspect I've noticed is that for a price of 40,000 euros, I find those window buttons to be a little bit on the basic side. They could have done with a bit of chrome touch at the end, or maybe some brushed aluminum. The only questionable aspect I've noticed about this steering wheel, and I've also noticed a similar questionable aspect on other Peugeot cars with this steering wheel, would be that the top of this steering wheel obstructs the view of the instrument cluster. Like in most cars, you'd be able to see the instrument cluster through the steering wheel, like this. See what I'm going at? Or maybe over the steering wheel. But in the case of this Peugeot 2008, I feel like my view of the instrument cluster is obstructed by this part of the steering wheel, and that's all because of the size of the steering wheel. Yeah, I don't know. Like, see, I don't know what was Peugeot assuming here. Another questionable aspect I've noticed is that this Peugeot 2008 does not come with electric seating adjustment, despite the price of 40,000 euros. Yeah, it's on the questionable side, guys. I mean, it's very questionable how 40,000 euros doesn't get you electric seating, not even lumbar support.
Peugeot employing a lot of sharp edges on their models has paid off in a great way in terms of aesthetics. However, in terms of a bit of practicality, I feel like it did create a new problem. And the new problem is something I'm going to point out right now. This is the beautiful rear door of the Peugeot 2008. But just watch what happens when I open it. This edge of the door sticks out very proudly, and the handle is right here. So whenever I open this door, I get this edge of the door sticking out too proudly. So I have to constantly back away every time. So my back position is literally like this, you know, whereas I should be back straight when opening a car door. So yes, I have to constantly watch out that this part doesn't hit my chest. Otherwise, it's not a big deal. So this is the rear seat of the Peugeot 2008 electric, and I have to say I am impressed so far. The seating is a bit on the firm side, I have to confess. Like my back it feels firm, and also the main seating area also feels firm. Okay. No problem. Otherwise, my legroom is... Yeah, I feel like my legroom is a bit on the limited side. Otherwise, my knee room is plentiful. I have enough knee room. The headroom is where all the fun lies. I mean, check this out, guys. I have a lot of headroom. I cannot complain about that. You get a nice door handle right here. A nice beacon of hope rear light right here, and you get a nice rear seat pocket right here, right there. Okay, so for some reason you get no climate control, no storage right here, guys. All you get is 2 USB points, and that's it. And a similar story on the door, guys. The door handle is very different to what you get on the front seat. I mean, this is basically a side door pocket almost. It's okay, it's so and so, but the side door bin is on the shallow side. It's not so deep. I mean, this door bin is quite average for a crossover SUV of this segment. Another questionable aspect I have just realized is that for some reason, for a price of 40,000 euros, you do not get a sunroof or a panoramic roof. Okay. I'm going to try my best understanding some things here. Now, the rear seat of this Peugeot 2008 can seat a third person in the middle, although that third person has to have twisty legs, because over here you get a little ridge, a tunnel, a little emission tunnel. So you see there's a bit of elevation going on here, and that means the third person sitting in the middle has to have both legs obstructing our legroom even more. So I have to be sitting literally like this when a third person sits in. So here's my conclusion about the Peugeot 2008 electric. First, about the model, I have to say it is stunning. I love the design. I love just the way it is. Strong identity, strong history actually, you know, because, you know, it's just very nice. And also some of the parts of the design remind me of Peugeot Dakar rally vehicles. How amazing is that, guys? Peugeot has rich identity, and it is never proven wrong. It's always there, guys. It's always there. You cannot mistake this car for something else on the road. For a price of 14,000 euros, is this Peugeot 2008 electric good value for money or not? Okay. I'm going to tell you all something. It's not the best value for money, but I'd say it's ever so slightly in the good zone. I'm going to say it's positive. It's in the positive zone. In fact, every car can be good value for money. There's no car that's not good value for money, but there's some cars that are just better, there's some cars that are not better. In the case of this Peugeot, I have to say it's just good value for money. It's not great, it's not the best, but it is good. And here's why. Let's take a look at the big picture, okay? The big picture is that I am buying a crossover SUV which is very city friendly and all that for 14,000 euros. A crossover SUV. And it's electric, okay? 0% emission, no fossil fuel. And I think that sounds amazing. Because when electric cars first came out, like the real electric cars, like that from Tesla and everything, all of them, like all those cars that actually could do 100 kilometers per hour and faster than that, even fast acceleration, all of them costed at a price above 80,000 euros. They were all mind-blowing, they were all very, very interesting, but they had a problem of being very expensive. Whereas Peugeot has kind of made it available to the mass market, which is very good. However, that in turn did create a new problem for the Peugeot 2008. And I think well, I wouldn't say problem, but I would just say questionable aspects. The questionable aspect I've noticed though, prominently, is that the absence of certain equipment. Like my opinion of this Peugeot 2008, oh mamma mia, oh mamma mia. I love this Peugeot 2008. I really, really do. Peugeot is actually making an electric car that's quite appealing to look at and, well, quite cheap actually. 40,000 euros. Think about it. You don't need to pay beyond 18,000 euros to have a good looking electric car that's got the luxury and everything. Peugeot has basically proven to you all that it can also make an electric car at a cheap price and that's still available to the mass market. How good is that? And also on the bright side, it did have some comfort equipment and it's a great A to B machine, so that's a plus. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe and stay tuned for more videos that are on the run. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go visit le Musée de la Louvre in Paris with this Peugeot 2008. And plus it's electric, so it's gonna be very city friendly when I get there. See you.